If you're a Yieldnodes investor, you're probably wondering what the heck is going on with Yieldnodes. Did we get rugged? Is this a scam? Is Yieldnodes going to cease to exist? And what in the world is Yieldnodes Pro? And when will I be able to withdraw my money, or will I ever be able to withdraw this money? In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what's happening with Yieldnodes and Yieldnodes Pro. Now, as a lot of you probably know, we got this email that came in about 2 days ago announcing something called Yieldnodes Pro due to crypto winter. Now, I'm going to explain what Yieldnodes Pro is in just a second, but let me lead up to this. So, as you probably know, Yieldnodes has been having a little bit of problems, and I had let my Discord community know that I had been withdrawing from this project every month because I saw it as high risk. And also on top of that, I had withdrawn nearly half of my funds just recently the month before because I saw some of these red flags leading up to it. I'm going to tell you about those so that way you can get an idea. So as you know, Yieldnodes is a master noding program where they essentially, you deposit your funds, they go and they master node your funds. And generally a lot of their reserves had been held in this Sapphire coin. Generally, you see this price action has been really, really awesome. And we knew that actually Yieldnodes was in a really good position. Just a couple months previously, I think maybe 2-3 months previously, they actually had their audits where they had several investors fly out to Malta where their offices were and to investigate the funds. And apparently they were 130% over collateralized, meaning if there was $100 million in Yieldnodes, they had $130 million in reserves. So that way they were definitely not acting as a Ponzi scheme, which a Ponzi scheme is obviously just taking new people's money to pay out older investors, but they were actually over collateralized according to these auditors. Now, with that being said, I got scared when I started seeing this price action around like mid-August, where in end of August, where the price of Sapphire really started tanking hard. And I knew that because Yieldnodes held a lot of their coins in the Sapphire coin, I knew that the reserves had to have been being depleted. And if you take a look at what's happened, it reached 92 cents at an all-time high. It's currently just, I mean, it's completely tanked to like 5 cents today when we're talking about this. So if you can imagine, if they had $100 million in this Sapphire token, now it's lost 90% of its value. So this is a major, major problem. Now, the other red flag that I had was when they started announcing these emergency, essentially they announced these bonus deposits, which I saw as another red flag. Essentially, if anybody does the emergency withdrawal, right, there's a 25% loss that they take on them, but these people could go and they could essentially buy up these people that are doing the emergency withdrawals and get like a 20% bonus. So I saw this as another red flag that, hey, they may be having some problems with liquidity, and that's probably the reason why they're doing this, because they need more deposits coming in because they saw what was happening. Now, obviously, this is a lot of sell pressure on the market. Some people, big whales, clearly really dumped the price of Sapphire, and Yieldnodes has had to pivot. So with all that being said, they have decided to pivot to something called Yieldnodes Pro. Oh yeah, and by the way, at this time, if you have a pending withdrawal or you're trying to make any withdrawals or emergency withdrawal, you're not going to be able to withdraw your money. And I just listened to this video from the CEO that it sounds like you're probably not going to be able to withdraw your funds likely for like a year. He said this transition from Yieldnodes to Yieldnodes Pro is going to take around a year, and it seems like he was maybe wanting to under promise and over deliver, so hopefully faster, but he said like around a year. So what in the world is Yieldnodes Pro? And essentially, Yieldnodes Pro is basically them hedging their master noding program by real assets. So essentially, this is something that I think had it have happened, you know, prior or originally, I think this would have been a really great thing, right? Imagine if we had all came into Yieldnodes and we invested into Yieldnodes and they were actually buying real assets, like they were buying real estate or power plants or, you know, any sort of rental income they were buying up. We would have these real assets that would be generating the yield, which would be amazing. Now, obviously, we might not be seeing the 5%, 6-7% per month like we were. However, it would have been like a really good thing, a really good crypto project, essentially a fund that's going out there and buying these assets. So essentially what they're doing is they are pausing all of withdrawals, and they are essentially going out and they're using apparently 300 million euros. They're going to buy real assets. Now, what are they buying? They're buying apparently 2 hubs in Germany and Malta. They're buying several power plants. It looks like one in Germany, another one in Italy and Germany, and another power plant in Iran. It also looks like they are buying a music publisher and a streaming provider in Germany, and they're buying some commercial and social properties, as well as electric car charging networks. So they're buying these real assets that'll be producing a real yield. Now, how this is all going to pan out actually is you are essentially going to receive a NFT, which is going to be like an IOU in exchange for the balance that you have on Yieldnodes. So basically, if you have $10,000, they'll give you a certain NFT that's essentially worth $10,000. Now, you can't go and trade that asset, it looks like, until Q2 of 2023. So that's like, 3 quarters away, or, 3/4 of a year away from now. But essentially at that point, supposedly you're going to be able to trade that NFT on the marketplace if you want to. You may be able to take I'm assuming you're going to take a loss if you sell it. Essentially, it says that the second stage will happen in Q4 of 2023, which will actually provide a portal to allow partners to convert the NFTs into equity investments and receive returns from those associated assets. So essentially, that's how it works. So Yieldnodes taking 300 million, they're buying up these power plants, they're buying up these electric car stations, and they are promising a 5% per quarter yield, which is very different than 5% per month like it was happening. But 5% per quarter is still really good. If you think about a 20% return per year, that's still really good, right? So I'll talk about one thing that I did really appreciate about this, and then a few lessons that we learned, as well as what to actually do about all of this. So I just listened to this video with the CEO. His name is Steve, by the way. And the one thing that I did appreciate was that, pretty much 24 hours after this big, huge announcement, he was live on a video with one of the community's bigger influencers. And he seems to be relatively transparent. These guys, actually, they could have just gone away, taken the money. They could have paid us out, say 10% of whatever we had in Yieldnodes and say, okay, wipe our hands and we're good and we're done. But it seems like, at least from the way that they're talking, is that they actually want to make this right, and they actually want to get through this, and they want to push through this. And it seems like they actually have a legitimate plan to put things back together to install the trust once again into the community. Now, I don't think the community will ever have the trust like they once did, but at the same time, this is actually a project that I think could continue on longer. However, I don't think it's going to be nearly as big. And I think that as soon as people are able to trade their NFTs, I think a lot of people are going to trade their NFTs and just try to get out whatever money they possibly can. So what can we actually learn about it? And then what can we do about it, most importantly? So one thing that we can learn is that, hey, if you don't own the keys, then if it ain't your keys, it ain't your crypto, right? And anytime you're giving up control of your money to somebody else, then this is a really risky activity. And I know this for my personal life. I've given up my money to multiple people to manage it or do something with it a lot of times it's not actually panned out to be very well. The second thing is that I think we have to understand that in high risk investments, it's a lot better if we put a smaller portion of our portfolio, right? I had been talking about putting less than 5% of your portfolio into Yieldnodes. So, granted, we never get this money again, which is kind of how I'm looking at it. Then, it's not the end of the world. And now, ultimately, what can we actually do about this? Well, what can we do about it? Well, I think the things that we can do about it is pretty much just wait. We can sit on our hands, and we're going to be sitting on our hands for likely another year before we're going to be able to make any sort of withdrawal. We probably will hear from Steve and maybe the other owner, I think his name is Urs, soon regarding all of the debacle that's happened here with Yieldnodes. But I think that if they can actually carry out the plan that's advertised, at least to us, then I think this is a project that can continue to be successful, even if they're only paying out 5% per quarter, which I know in traditional finance is quite amazing, actually. So what am I doing about it right now? Well, I can't really do anything about it. I'm kind of just like forgetting about it, thinking that, okay, this money's lost. And, in a year from now, when we're able to trade it or whatever, then great. I'll try to likely recover some of my money and let that be that. Now, I think one thing that we can also do is continue to research and find great projects and great investments in a crypto bear market. I know the price action is ugly in the market right now, and that's exactly why I put together this video on this screen, which is going to essentially show you how to find hidden gems during a crypto bear market. So go ahead and check that out right now.